Hey there, YouTube friends. Welcome back to the Bikini Bottom Waterpark, where today we're building some fun slides, but we are also incorporating the Barg N Mart and the Chum Bucket. Figure the Chum Bucket and the fun slides worked well together. I'm so excited you are here. I'm maskedbandit. This is Planet Coaster 2, and we've got a lot of work to do, so let's jump right into today's episode. I figured if we're going to build a water park, we better have some water slides in our water park, and it was about time to do that. So these are the fun slides, because F is for friends who do stuff together, U is for you and me. And N is for anywhere in time, but all down here in the blue sea. Just kind of had to finish it, you know? So yeah, I thought it would be super fun to have 3 body slides, 3 flumes, named F.U.N, in a nod to that episode of SpongeBob where he tries to show Plankton the meaning of fun, and he almost does it, doesn't he? Anyway, what I did is I googled up the fun. I typed in "fun SpongeBob song" and got the colors. They are orange, yellow, and purple. Those are the colors of the letters that you see in the video, in the episode, and I thought it was just too perfect. So this is my first real crack at water slides, and oh boy, those of you that have been with me for a while, you know that coasters are not my forte. I get pretty close enough. Oh boy, water slides are a totally different beast. As someone whose favorite thing is not not water parks and water slides, this was a struggle. I don't know if these are even close to being realistic at all. You let me know if there are or aren't, or things like that. I was watching Mineral today, his Wet n Wild, Steve's Wet n Wild, and he just straight up said, "I'm just copying slides that are in real life because I don't know." I was looking at a picture to get some inspiration for the orange slide and a little bit for the purple slide, and then I just sort of made them up the rest myself. I am not a slide expert. If you are here for that sort of stuff, you've come to the wrong channel. I am here for vibes. So here we are. We have completed those 3 slides as best as we can, and just attaching them and things like that. And yes, there is an issue apparently with people not riding the slides. I actually had to, I had the park capped at a low amount of people. I got rid of it, cranked it to 6,000. The park flooded in with peeps, but the only way they would ride this slide is by putting a changing room before the platform. So I had a changing room right past the platform. A few people would walk up to it, up to the slide platform and walk away. They wouldn't go to the changing room, but then once I put the changing room in front of the platform, it was an absolute mad rush to that changing room. So they've got to fix something with that. So that's not great. But yeah, we're just making it work. I'm all right with it just looking nice. Just looking nice for now. Connecting the slide pool here to the rest of the paths. And what I've done is I've actually turned the pool to off, to close, so that people will exit it immediately. Apparently they do turn back on. But one of the things I did have to do here is once I put the pool in, I realized how high off the ground my slides were. So I did go ahead and fix the ends of each of the slides. And I also tried to get them pretty close to lining up. There are people out there who can line them up way better than I can. I just don't quite get it yet, but it's a work in progress. It's my first water park since Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, so cut me some slack. I'm pretty pleased with how they turned out. I think it's a good first attempt. It was a good practice. They look nice. They look like water slides to me, so I don't know what more you can ask for. That is, like I said, they are not my absolute jam, but they look cute, and they look really nice here against the wave pool, and I think they do a good job of adding a bit of dynamic energy to the area, especially when people are riding them, of course. And still learning how to work with the paths and the pools here. Mineral has come out with an amazing video in his most recent, like I was mentioning, episode of Steve's Wet n Wild. And Ruble Trillions just came out with a path tutorial that I am absolutely going to go watch as soon as I'm done making this recording. So here we are working on the Chum Bucket, and you will see that it was really big. it was too big. I didn't like how grand it was, how large it was. So here in this part of our time lapse, you are going to see a bit of how the dome technique works. I am going to make a separate tutorial. Lots of people have asked me to make a tutorial on this. So you're getting a speed build version of how this works. You start with a gridded piece in the center, and you build off of that, duplicate it by 180 degrees, and then you take your bits that aren't gridded, and then you can turn your angle snap on and you can spin them around. And this is, I believe, 3 clicks. So I don't know what the degreeage is there. What, 45 degrees? No, 33 degrees maybe. I'm not sure. But anyway, you build a wedge, and then from that wedge, you design the entirety of the wedge, and then you copy it around, and you get perfectly symmetrical radial buildings. There you can see that look there. We're building the skeleton of the building, checking its size, how it fits in with the rest of the area, and then kind of going from there. We don't have the whole build here in time lapse, but we will look at it in real time. But I just wanted to show you a little bit of this process. I will slow it down and go into much better detail in an upcoming tutorial so that you can build rounded buildings as well. It's not as hard as it looks. It's just one of those intermediate techniques that you can eventually, with a little bit of practice, you can get really, really good at it. And of course, there are people who are far better at it than I am. But I know the gist of it, and I'm more than happy to share that with you, so be on the lookout for that. It's a lot of the same pieces, a lot of the aquatic non-gridded pieces, especially because we are on a bit of an angle here to get that bucket shape. It is not a perfect cylinder. It is narrower at the bottom than it is at the top. You will also see I'm covering up the shop front. We will fix that, and what I've done is I'm actually going to make this a quick service, a walk-up restaurant. This is not a sit-down establishment, which I think works really well. The Krabby Patty, like we talked about in the last episode, will probably be one of the only sit-down restaurants. The rest will probably be quick service restaurants, restaurants that you would walk up to, no indoor seating. Place your order, step to the side, and go from there. There's the bucket, making sure it's in good position. There is a fist in the game, but it is not big enough, so I have to use art shapes and do a really rough and ready version of the hand. And then, of course, in this part of the episode here, we are working on the Barg N Mart, which is our gift store. I plopped one of each of the gift shops in the game, and we're going to go ahead and cover that up with the Barg N Mart, the in-universe store. Is it a grocery store? Is it I think it's a grocery store or a department store. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, these Viking windows and doors came in pretty handy. I wanted to add some screen mounts here to make it look a lot more commercial, I guess is the word here. Like, you know, like pull handles for a door that you would see. I think I even turned the door around there because I didn't like the big blockade in the front. That didn't make much sense. And then here we are adding those big metal like buckles on the treasure chest, which are totally silly, but I think it really helps sell them. This was surprisingly easy. When I looked up a reference, I didn't realize there wasn't a dome to the top of the treasure chest, that it literally is a big rectangle. And so that actually made it a lot easier. There's a little bit of lean and sway to it, but it is pretty rectangular, which made it relatively straightforward to put together. But again, in order to get the larger wood textures, we did take the non-gridded Viking wood set. We tinted it red because there is a red hue in the SpongeBob one. And I went ahead and just scaled it up to maximum to get the widest planks possible to really make it feel like you are much smaller and that these wood planks are much more like a real treasure chest. Here with the art shapes, what I'm doing is I wanted it to feel like it is separated, like there's a top and a bottom. So we are creating just a little bit of separation here to kind of imply that the chest is not one thing, but two pieces attached by a hinge. You can see me there doing a little bit to kind of make it a little wider at the top. I think that worked just fine. Yeah, this was surprising. Like I said, this came together pretty easily. Not a lot to say here. This is a pretty straightforward build, trying to use some different pieces that had a nice beveled edge. We do have beveled edge pieces, but a lot of them are gridded. So I decided to just go back to the non-gridded, non-beveled pieces. And in the end, I think it sells the idea well enough, absolutely good enough for me. The hardest part of this, of course, would be the skull and crossbones, something that is a little bit beyond my skill set. So I did check out the Steam workshop, or not the Steam, the Frontier workshop, and I was able to get my hands on an awesome skeleton, a skull, which I modified just a little bit, as well as a bone, as that was part of a bone arch. And I was able to modify that a little bit to make it work. And we'll take a closer look at those in the real-time portion, because I do not believe they made it to this time lapse. This time lapse was just getting the overall structure. Here we are adding the brass feet. Again, looked for an in-game piece that would have been big enough when scaled, but it just didn't work. So I decided to use art shapes to make them my own, which again, as we talked about in a previous episode, just adds to that whole cartoony vibe, which I am more than happy to lean into in this project. That vibrancy really works well in this game, I found. So yeah, we are just about done here with the Barg N Mart. We are going to put it in position. Not sure of its final position, but we've got it set up. Let's take a look at everything here in real time so you can see it a bit better and a little bit less rushed. Alright, so here's a look at what we have completed in this episode. Not saying any of this is in its final position, but I do wanted to set this up for us so we could see what's going on here. Let's take a look a bit more at our area here. I have cleaned up a lot of the goo lagoon here, the wave pool. Added some of this because we're having some path issues. Added a bunch of coral, kind of separating this splash down zone from the actual wave pool. But here we have the slides. Here's a better look at them in a slowed down version. Our F.U.N. slides. Someone suggested adding a period after the F, the U, and the N. I do think that's a great idea, and I am probably going to go ahead and do that for our next episode. Pay no attention to this changing room here. That is just to make sure people decide to ride the slides. So that's working for me. You can see we've got peeps going down the slides. Like I said, I don't know if these slides are good or bad. They look like water slides to me. I don't know. Dressed them up a bit with some rock work here. We can clean all of this up as well. I'm kind of just throwing everything down, and then we're going to go down and do a big cleanup point at one point or another. But I did want to go ahead and get all this taken care of, and I don't know, I think this looks pretty good. I do like that this isn't hyper themed, like it's just a big slide structure. I think this is the kind of vibe I want, heavily themed, but you're still going to see some supports and stuff. So yeah, this is kind of weird over here though. I do think because the slide comes this way, it kind of blocks some of these supports. We may have to get creative because that is very much floating. We should probably fix that, but yeah, we'll get on with that. But yeah, here's a look at our slide complex, and I think it's pretty all right. I think it does a good job. You'll have to remember these are the first slides I've ever built in Planet Coaster and shown people. That brings me to the Chum Bucket, the next thing I built in the episode. Here it is. The entrance is here, however, as I said, it's a quick service, and this foliage is just temporary. Pay no attention to it. But we have sushi on one side, and wait for it, milkshakes. Because when I think Chum Bucket, I don't know, just creamy fish. Sorry if that grossed you out. I love the idea of sushi and milkshakes being sold in the same store. There is my rough and ready art-shaped hand, which I think I actually like better than the really nice statue hand. It just looks kind of janky and hand-drawn, handmade, like in the cartoon. But yeah, you can see here, we built this wedge, and then we would have circled it around and just dressed it up. And as I said in the speed build, I will go ahead and do an in-depth tutorial on how to build round buildings like this. So yeah, it's very simple. The Chum Bucket is not a fancy building. It's literally a bucket. So I think it sells. It's a little simple. I'm a little like, oh, you know what we should add? I just had a thought. There's all these decals. We're going to add some decals to dirty this up even more. It's a little too nice. It's a little too clean for a maniacal supervillain secret lair. And then that brings me to the Barg N Mart, where we have these amazing workshop skull. So here's a look at what I have downloaded. The skull is made by Lily Bat. And, oh, they made the spooky bone arches. That makes sense as well. So you will see that this is a spooky skull, and we have spooky bone arches. And what I have actually done in mine is I have edited him ever so. I made him look a little less spooky. His teeth are no longer sharp. And the bones I had to stretch out a bit to get them to be more skull and cross bony. And then we put this Barg N Mart sign up here, which is not quite perfect, but I think it looks pretty good. I don't know, I think that's pretty Barg N Marty. We've got the handles for the treasure chest here. And I did even include on the back some brackets just to make it look good in all areas. And again, you can expect in the next episode, we'll have this on the workshop along with the Chum Bucket. And in this episode, you should have the Krusty Krab available to download. You'll have to search for it on the workshop. The links are just kind of wacky in here. It's easier if you just go search Krusty Krab on the workshop. I'm sure it will pop up. But yeah, there's not much to talk about. You saw me build this in the speed build. This is how it looks in situation. It's pretty big, but I think it works. I'm very pleased with the additions we've made. I'm not sure in their final position. Let me know in the comments, should the Barg N Mart stay here or should it come over here by the Krusty Krab? I'm not sure. And I feel like we're going to run out of room if we keep heading this way. So I think we need to start heading in this direction. There are other great ideas that you all have given me. We're going to add some workout gear for Larry the Lobster. Give him a nod. I do think we need to do the Salty Spittoon across from Weenie Hut Juniors, because that would just be too funny. Oh, I did want to show that I did absolutely place the Chum Bucket directly across from the Krusty Krab. You can see it while you sit here and eat at the Krusty Krab. So that is absolutely something that had to happen. So you just got to cross Goo Lagoon. Probably put in a few more planters here to kind of tree up the area. I did remove some bushes like you all suggested. A couple people gave some more suggestions on how to make Patrick's rock stick out. These are all things that I'm thinking about. I do read every single one of your comments. I give it a heart when I read it. So if I give it a heart, that means I've read it, and most of them, especially for the first 24 to 36 hours, I do try to reply to you. I will say with the tremendous amount of growth we've been getting, it's getting harder and harder, but I'm going to keep at it, so please be patient, and don't feel bad if I don't reply to you right away. I am reading every single one of your comments, and I am just so pleased with how much you all are enjoying this. I'm having a blast. Your excitement is keeping me motivated to play. And so I am so excited to keep working on this. I don't know where we're going to head next. What should we work on next? What's the next Bikini Bottom thing that we absolutely need in the park? Let me know in the comments down below. I am so glad you stuck with me. If you did, consider liking the video. Subscribe if this is the first Bikini Bottom episode you've watched. There's several more on the channel, and there's more to come in the future. And with all that being said, have yourself a great day, great night, great whatever, and I will see all of you for the next episode of the Bikini Bottom Waterpark. Take care, everyone, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.